Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. I'm going to go over a story of something that occurred in Alaska. I hope you can all see my screen. What they are saying is, and they said this was a very sudden thing, it was not gradual. It was like one day they had clear water and everything was fine. And in just a matter of a day, every single river and stream in Alaska turned to a bright orange color. And they said the water is actually toxic. And they're very concerned about what may happen to the wildlife there that heavily depends on that water. And they're saying that, the fish migrations will come to a halt because they're not going to swim in that. So it may not even happen, which would be devastating for Alaska because they heavily depend on fisheries in this part of, the United States. So they are just looking at it and trying to figure out what to do. And not only they said, is this going to impact the animals, but the people too. So, yeah, this is a huge problem. And I'm surprised it's not getting more attention. You would think it would. So, y'all, mm, mm, mm. You know what I thought about that too, dark skinned brother? You brought up wormwood and the water turning bitter. Yeah, I thought about that too. That is exactly what first came to mind when I saw this story. So, y'all, yeah, this is something I never seen before. So, Alaskan rivers and streams all turn orange due to what they're calling climate change. And they're saying they believe this is coming from the melting permafrost that is occurring in this area. Now, I don't know. I just know one thing. I have never seen something like this happen. So researchers for years have been baffled when the rivers and streams of Alaska turn a bright orange. But new research points to climate change as an answer. So the scientists, they are suspecting the color change is a result of thawing permafrost, which essentially is frozen ground, releasing minerals into crystal clear water, according to a study posted Monday in the Journal of Nature, Earth, and Environment. And they're concerned not only because of the wildlife and the fisheries, but they're saying it is also a threat to the drinking water all over Alaska. So the orange streams can be problematic because it's toxic, but it also prevent the migration of fish to spawn in areas where they normally would go. This is according to ecologists for the National Park Service Arctic Inventory and Monitoring Network. So here's a closer look to what's happening to Alaska's water, the impact of the water in federal lands, including the gates of the Arctic and Kobut Valley National Parks. Researchers said the scientists sampled affected water across 75 locations in a Texas sized area of the northern Alaskan Brooks mountain range. Some samples are so remote that helicopters are one of the only ways to access them. The more we flew, the more we started noticing more and more orange rivers and streams. There are certain sites that look almost like a milky orange juice. They said that's how it looks, like a milky orange juice. Some of the stained areas are so large that the orange rivers are visible from space, according to Brett Poland, assistant professor of environmental toxicology. So, UC Davis and a study researcher. These have to be strained a lot to pick them up from space. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you how this has really impacted the state, where satellites can even pick up the orange rivers and streams. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. The issue is slowly propagating from the small headwaters into big rivers over time. When emergent issues or threats come about, we need to be able to understand them. The National Park Service previously pointed to Salmon River as a particular point of concern. The water there was pristine. They said it was crystal clear water, and the water is now an orange green color. Wow. The discoloration stuck around, and there it remains orange stains even on the riverbanks. Wow. So not only is the water orange, even the riverbanks are looking orange. Wow. So people want to know, of course, that live there, what's in the water? What is actually making this water turn this color? So from the samples that they took, number one, they said there's a lot of metal ores were exposed to water and oxygen, causing them to release acid and metals. And they said the water is very acidic. Samples showed high or elevated levels of iron, zinc, nickel, copper, and cadmium. And this is what they found in all of the waters that are impacted by this. Iron is one of the most dominant metals, and it is believed to be behind the orange coloration. Some of the water samples had a pH of 2.3 compared to an average of 8 for rivers, which means the impact of the water is significantly more acidic. Wow, you can't drink that. You couldn't drink that. Researchers are still working to understand what's happening with the colored water and what risk may exist for fishing stocks and drinking water. A study did note that the stream discoloration was associated with a dramatic decline in microinvertebrate diversity and fish abundance. Alaska Arctic rivers are home to a variety of fish that are critical for substance, sports, commercial fisheries, and they're saying the iron and other toxic metal in the water could threaten those fish. I believe it will, especially if the water is more acidic than what those fish are used to swimming in. Yeah, I would say that's going to be a huge problem. I don't believe they're going to try to swim in that. I really don't. So, metals in the water could also impact rural drinking supplies. Researchers say that at minimum, they could impact the water taste, requiring rural communities to enhance their water filtration. There's a lot of implications as the climate continues to warm. We would expect permafrost to continue to thaw, and so wherever there are these type of minerals, there's potential for streams to turn orange and become degraded in terms of water quality. Researchers plan to study whether the rivers and streams can rebound if cold weather promotes permafrost recovery. So that's where it is today, y'all. That is wow. Can you imagine how devastating that is where the water supply is not safe for people or the animals or the fisheries? But this is what's happening in Alaska. You would think this would be a huge story, but it's not. It's not. Not as big as it should be. Wow. You know what? I don't think the salmon is going to swim in that. I really don't. I think when they detect something is wrong, they're not going to go wherever they are now, where the water is clear. They're probably going to stay there. They're probably not going to swim in that. I just don't see a lot of fish swimming in that at all. I would think most of them are going to probably just go somewhere else. And like they said, this could really devastate Alaska because that's one of the things they heavily depend on. Mm-mm-mm. Mhm. So this is what I wanted to show you, remember it said we would see things we never seen before in these last days, and I can tell you I'm not from Alaska and I don't claim to know what goes on there, but I have never seen every single river and stream in a state turn bright orange, and it's toxic and it's acidic, and I have never seen this before, ever. Mhm. Yeah. I mean, they said even the river beds are orange. I mean, that's crazy to me. Mhm. There's a planetary alignment coming up real soon. I'm just noticing this happening around that time. There's going to be another big planet alignment happening. Mhm. Yeah, it could be a lot of things. I mean, they said there's a lot of heavy metals and minerals in that water too. Um, but they're just guessing that it's coming from the permafrost. But that's why they're still trying to study and find out what's going on. So, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will be posting some more things for us tomorrow. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. Shalom, family.